live. Hello, my astrology friends and family from around the world. We continue the 2022 astrology marathon. And today we have the incredible teacher, Victor, who is going to share with us the financial situation in 2022 around the world, what will be the best investments, what will be the best careers that will fare, what to do with your money, predictions for the world, but also predictions for the 12 signs and how it's going to affect your sun sign or ascendant sign. Hello, Victor.
Hi, Lada. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I haven't done a video for a while, but I've been very busy, actually. But I'm excited to share all these.
Cyprus. Sunbathing in Cyprus.
Yes, plus I'm working. So I'm working as well, but enjoying the sunshine also. It's about 22 degrees each day. So yeah, I have to enjoy the summer too, kind of the summer.
And by the way, Victor is also offering his course on finances and how to predict with finances and money, and for 40% off, yes?
That's right, yeah.
Perfect. For those of you who are watching this video now, the offer is valid for a few weeks or a week, I'm not sure how long. And
probably till the end of December, just so that people can learn about how to look at markets. Because this talk, which I have prepared today, it took me at least 5-6 hours to put it together. And I'm going to try to bring it alive in 1 hour 15, 1 hour half, 90 minutes approximately. But when I did an initial talk about this, that took about 5 hours. So it's going to be quite difficult to put everything into, just one video. So I'm just going to be brief, and I'm going to be just putting the information out there, which I feel. And then sometimes I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation. But yes, in the course, which is about 100 hours altogether, 16 weeks worth of material, I teach loads of things about vocation, how to check what job suits you the most, and how to predict something with money, financials as well. So if you are interested, you can check that out. And a little bit of a disclaimer, I am not a financial expert. So these are just something to do with trends, which I'm analyzing in the world in regards to how it affects the financial market, but I'm not a financial advisor. So you always have to consult with your financial advisors if you are investing.
Oh, but my husband follows your advice. Victor and my husband are always talking about crypto, gold, silver. Victor gives predictions. My husband invests. So we're doing quite well so far.
Yes, but if you want to be a financial expert, you need so much knowledge. And I only have got the astrological knowledge. So, I just wanted to make sure that people understand that. And also I'm going to be making a webinar on Venus retrograde in Capricorn and how to work with that, which is going to be next Saturday, 4 p.m. Sofia, Bulgaria time. So if you guys are interested, check that out. We're going to be also looking at some financial bits and bobs as well, of course, because Venus rules money. Yes, so we've got an interesting year ahead. I think plenty of us tend to be looking at it quite in a positive way. I'm not too sure if I'm that positive about 2022, to be frank. Now, when we are looking at the financial world, we're going to have to look at the outer planets, and we're going to have to look at their kind of like trends, what they are doing. So today we're going to mention the Saturn Uranus square, which hasn't finished yet. We're going to have the final meeting happening at around Christmas, and then we're also going to be having Saturn Uranus square within 1 degree orb next year in the fall of 2022 as well. So that pretty much kind of talks about something which is the authorities and the people, how they are clashing, the central government trying to control something versus the individual rights, or something to do with your voices to be heard overall. So this could be something which is going to be affecting the financial world significantly. Of course, we still have got Uranus in Taurus. And the reason why it's special for us this year, because we're going to have the Uranus and the North-Node conjunction happening in July 2022, which could kind of indicate some changes in the banking system, or some type of revolution when it comes to currency matters, money, or just overall the speculative businesses. And of course, we've got the COVID-19 situation, which is, in my opinion, relates to Neptune, to a certain extent, and of course Saturn as well. So we're going to have to touch base on that. Of course, we're going to have 3 planets being retrograde: Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So the personal planets in 2022. However, Venus is going to be just kind of carrying some of the energies over to January, because it's starting its retrograde period on the 19th of December. And of course, meeting Pluto 3 times. So we will feel Venus in Capricorn with Pluto till about April 2022. So we're going to have to touch base on that. Of course, we've got Jupiter moving back and forth from Pisces to Aries, and then back to Pisces again, and then finally going into Aries, which is, you know, Pisces is something to do with endings. Aries is about beginnings. So kind of like the peace versus the competition, and the kind of like the military forces are really on the horizon with this shift. So we're going to have to talk a little bit about that. And of course, we've got Jupiter Neptune conjuncting in Pisces, which the very last time happened in 1856. So this is a very unique combination. This is kind of like a little bit of a sugar daddy type of situation, what we are touching base on here. So I kind of feel like people might follow some type of false hopes with that. So I want to touch base on that. Of course, we've got the Pluto return in the US. So, you know, the major question is that will the democracy kind of survive in US, or what's going to happen? And of course, we've got the nodal cycle as well, which we need to touch base on. They are changing signs. And yeah, so we've got loads to actually talk about. Now, one of the first things which is worth talking about is definitely the Saturn-Jupiter cycle, even though it started in 2020 December. But one of the reasons why I wanted to start with that, because they are still in the same sign. And you should imagine any type of conjunction as kind of like a new moon and the full moon. New moon, full moons are the most popular topics in astrology. People tend to be watching those videos, for instance, a lot more. Now, therefore, Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, still being in the same sign, acts like a conjunction. And imagine any type of conjunctions like a baby is born. So the 2 planetary energies kind of need to come together, and then they need to kind of be in like alignment in order for them to be able to work. And once that alignment is not really working, then these combinations, no matter what planetary energies we are talking about, can be very confusing. Of course, we've got the 2 planets meeting, which are completely opposite to each other. So we've got Jupiter, who can be greedy, never is, I mean, enough is never enough type of category. And we've got Saturn, which says, oh, we need to live our life in a moderate way. So, so this could be a challenge. And of course, after these 2 planets kind of reached an opposition, that's when they are entering kind of like the waning phase. With the waning phases of the planetary energies are all about maturation. When we have got a planetary conjunction going on, then it's very much about like a baby who needs to learn to walk, or needs to adjust themselves to the environment, or going to the school and then learning new skills. So that's why we're talking about with the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction as kind of like a new era, really. Now, one thing which I would like to point out with Saturn and Jupiter, I think when it kind of going to start getting easier is when Jupiter finally moves into the sign of Aries, because it's going to start sextiling Saturn, meaning that somehow whatever we were meant to be learning around 2020 December till 2022, let's say May, kind of like, you know, that comes to a culmination point. Now, however, when Jupiter will be hitting Pisces and it's going to reach that kind of 25 degree, it's going to start semi-squaring Saturn. So even though Jupiter gets out of the restriction of Saturn by entering the sign of Pisces fully, and probably we're going to see some of the benefits by maybe some of the restrictions will be lifted, or we can start traveling again. But the semi-square kind of indicates that there are going to be certain rules or there are going to be kind of like certain sacrifices which we have to make in order for us that to be kind of happening. So that's something very interesting. Another thing which I see in the world folding out is the Neptune and the Pluto energy, which has been going on for a while, and eventually they're going to be making a sextile in 2026, but they are within already. Now, Neptune-Pluto conjunction took place in 1892, so it's kind of like a very long cycle, what we're talking about, almost 500 years. And that was the time when actually the cars were invented, or the airplane kind of came into motion as well. However, it wasn't immediate when actually we started using those cars, or we started using the airplanes. Typically, that kind of happened once they got out of that conjunction mode, so they were in separate signs. Now we're going to have that sextile happening in 2026, which I really believe that it's going to be quite positive when it comes to technological advancements. So, or changes overall. But typically Pluto destroys things first before actually it helps us building up things. So one of the things which I'm actually going to show you as well later on, that I do believe that we're going to have kind of like a recession and economic crisis coming up between sometimes 2026, 2029. Now, I know we're talking about 2022, so Victor, are you crazy to talk about 26? Yes, I am. But on the other hand, I want you to be ready, because whatever is coming up, I think we're going to have to start planning for more short-term investments, rather than, okay, I'm going to be investing into something for decades, and then we're going to be having, you know, all those type of things. Now, another thing which is very interesting is that we typically in mundane astrology, we differentiate 7 long cycles. So what we do is we pair up the slow-moving planets, starting from basically Jupiter up to Pluto, and then we look at what happens in the cycles. So we've got 7 major cycles we look at. Now, what's interesting is that so far we had all kind of like the shrinking, the waning cycles going on. And waning kind of indicates that the light is decreasing. And therefore the planets kind of become a little bit invisible. Typically, these waning cycles, especially like the last quarter squares, tends to be quite chaotic. And what's very optimistic of me to see that Saturn is actually not part of this cycle anymore, because obviously it had the conjunction with Jupiter. So I think once Jupiter gets into Aries, especially in 2023, and it's going to start sextiling Saturn sometimes in the middle of the year, things are going to get a lot easier. Probably that's when kind of like these COVID situations will be, let's say, finishing. Up till then, I kind of believe that it is going to stay around with certain limitations, but there is going to be kind of like an uplifting energy as well with it. So Saturn always constricts, Jupiter wants to expand. Jupiter is more about freedom and travel. Saturn is moderation and kind of like burden, what we have to carry. Jupiter is something to do with richness. Saturn is all about being poor. So in order for us to get these 2 planetary energies to work, we need to be hopeful in the future, Jupiter, but we do need to do our investment in a moderate ways. So let's say if you have got $10,000, don't put all your $10,000 into something. You might want to be splitting the money up, or you say that, okay, I keep 8,000 and I'm just going to be investing 2,000. Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, in my opinion, really talks about having faith in your abilities and also kind of having futuristic goals in a sense. And typically for me, Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is all about self-employment, finding your life purpose overall. So one of the other predictions I think I want to make is that more and more people will start thinking about what career choices they need to be making. and more people are going to be self-employed. Now, a little bit going down on the memory lane. The very last Saturn-Jupiter conjunction took place in 28th of May in the sign of Taurus, which was very much about currency, money, stocks, possessions, and your self-values. The conjunction took place on 22 degree of Taurus. So those people actually who have a planet around 22 degree Taurus within about, I would say, 5 degrees, they were meant to be closing down a chapter in their life, and then they are meant to be learning something new. Especially those people might need to actually look at ways of what type of jobs I'm meant to be doing. Now, what's interesting is about this 22 degree of Taurus, that we're going to have the Uranus North Node Mars Urania asteroid conjunction happening in 2022 July. Now, if we go back a little bit to what happened with the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction back in the days, well, firstly, we had all this bubble.com situation going on, and then we had terror attacks and so forth. And of course, it kind of caused the crash of the stock market. So one of the predictions I'm going to make here is that I think there is going to be another either bank system or currency problems coming up in 2022, especially in the second part of the year. And probably maybe there is going to be a new currency coming into the picture, or just people are going to be kind of shifting their money from the bank to the pillow, or, you know, whatever choice you are going to be making. Now, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction this time around took place on 0 degree of Aquarius, which is going to be getting activated by a Mars-Venus conjunction on 5th of March 2022. So I think that's going to be kind of a little bit of a crisis situation when it comes to money matters, or things are going to get unfolded for us of what to expect when it comes to, you know, where to keep the money, what to invest into, anything to do with your possessions, really, even something to do with your properties as well, because that's your possession also. And the reason why this Mars-Venus conjunction is important, because those two planets are ruling the nodes this year. So you're going to have the North Node in the sign of Taurus, and you're going to have the South Node in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio's traditional ruler is Mars. So that conjunction happening on 0 degree of Aquarius is going to be very remarkable. So I think we're going to see some dips, crashes around that time in the financial world. So maybe that's a little bit of a brave, you know, statement, but this is how I see. So, you know, you do need to be careful with your investments around March. However, any type of dips are giving us the opportunity to actually buy and to invest. So it's a good news for those who want to be actually, you know, making some more money, and they want to be kind of newbies when it comes to investments. So, of course, this Mars and Venus conjunction. Now, another reason why I don't necessarily like Mars and Venus conjunction, because we always need them for a war. Now, I'm not suggesting there is going to be a war, but like a war zone can be created here quite easily. You might be wondering, oh, Venus is all about peace. Yeah, but remember, in ancient times, wars always started because of a woman. Now, don't get me wrong, there is no, I'm not suggesting there is going to be a woman involved here, but back in the days, they were the subject of a war, fighting for someone's love.
Can I add also something? Venus,
Sure.
during that conjunction with Mars, will be in its more masculine phase, as Venus, Athena Pallas, as it's called, or the one that is more militant. She was a goddess of war in her morning rising phase. Even the ancient Incas considered her like a war goddess, Venus as a morning star.
That's right.
You might be very right. Because in Aquarius, I'm thinking the people, Aquarius is the people, are going to rise because of money, because they rule the axis of money, Scorpio and Taurus. So I don't know.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was kind of going at. That obviously we are talking about Aquarius, which rules the people, and that's kind of a very rebellious energy as well at the same time. And activating kind of this supercharged degree, we call any type of major conjunctional zones as a supercharged degree. Now, of course, Saturn is all about I'm fed up with being restricted, and Jupiter is all about I wanna have my freedom. Now, Mars and Venus meeting there, that could really indicate demonstrations or people going on the streets, which is of course going to be affecting the financial market significantly, and I think in a negative way, to be frank. Another significant event which we are about to have very shortly is Saturn Uranus square, which is going to be taking place on the 25th of December. And as I mentioned, this is the very last of the 3 series. But next year, they are almost going to be meeting on 18 degrees. So Saturn will be on 18 and Uranus will be on 17 degrees. So the square almost happens, but then Saturn decides to go direct and then it kind of doesn't happen. So how I kind of look at that is like an aftershock type of situation. Something almost happens, doesn't happen, but we're still shocked about whatever it kind of shows us. And now the Saturn Uranus type of situation really started in February 2021. So we might see some shocking news around that period of time, in 2022, sometimes in October. And what I imagine is, because Saturn is about government, Uranus is about technological advancements, I can imagine new rules against technology or e-commerce, or actually they might want to regulate astrology, who can do readings, who can't do readings, or who can go on YouTube and so forth. Something to do with the social media. I can also imagine things like there's going to be kind of like a step up against things like bully speech, but from a governmental point of view, I think their goal eventually is going to be somehow to attack tech companies. So this might be bringing us the question, is it a good idea to invest into tech next year? I'm not too sure, and I'm not so positive about the tech companies, at least not in 2022. Because Saturn also represents things like shortages. So what I can imagine is that there is going to be shortages of, let's say, mobile phones, or there is going to be shortages, especially around small parts, being in the sign of Aquarius, kind of like small parts, which, Aquarius is something to do with connections, so building those networks. So maybe the fact that I'm not going to be able to deliver those phones to the shops because I'm not going to have a driver, and so forth. So go ahead.
Distribution problems, like we're already having them.
Yeah, distribution problems are most likely going to be peaking 2022. I think we are only seeing at the moment a little bit of a glaze of it, really. Or I can imagine that these tech companies going to have to send more reports to the government. So the government's going to want to buy them up, in a sense, to have more control over them, because that's, again, very Saturnian quality. Sorry, you were meant to say something.
There was an explosion of new social media, Rumble, whatever, Odyssey, but they're not regulated for now. So you think there'll be like a hit on those ones, like Telegram as well, that are out?
Yeah, I think it's going to get
regulated. Yeah.
I think it's going to get regulated. So therefore, I'm not too sure if it's a smart idea at the moment to invest into these social media channels overall either.
Can I ask you something as well?
Sure.
Because Uranus in Taurus is very much about cryptocurrency, Saturn squaring it. Do you think regulations are coming big time for crypto?
Yeah, we're going to speak about crypto, Bitcoin, gold and silver a little bit separately.
Sorry, I'm chatting up.
Or what I can imagine is that some type of bottleneck in the production of technological things, which could be a little bit of an issue. Maybe there is going to be more authority figures coming and checking these, processes or progressions, and they're going to try to make some money by fining some of these tech companies, and so forth. I also believe that because Saturn ruling construction work, so anything to do with the building industry, I think it's going to be a very busy market, to be frank, but the problem they're going to be facing is shortages or lack of workers or lack of tools, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, which talks about the tools I'm going to have to use.
Building materials.
Building materials, yes.
Yeah.
And this, of course, indicates to us that the value of those, Uranus in Taurus, will be significantly high. I know it's high now as well. We're going to see even more increase in prices, unfortunately.
Due to the properties, increase of price in properties due to the shortages of materials.
Yeah, that's right. So building a property from scratch, I don't think it's a smart idea. I still believe that property prices will significantly drop by 2026, which 26, 27, 28, 29. So that 3-year window, that's going to be brilliant to buy properties. So actually myself, I'm holding on to my money now, and I'm going to be buying properties sometimes in 2027. That's 100% sure. I trust that.
Can I ask you something though? What if the currencies crash, and what happens with our money if there's hyperinflation, or it's like...
We're going to come on to that too.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to use Mercury in Capricorn to be very structured and organized. So, but on the positive note, that Saturn-Uranus square is about coming up with new ways, thinking outside of the box to actually being able to deliver those goods, or being able to put a phone together, or whatever we are going to be doing. So if you see any type of opportunity to invest into a new ways of transportation, new ways of food technology, and so forth, I think those are very good ideas for investments. But it's a square. So this talks about whether people are going to accept that, Saturn in Aquarius. And we know every single new thing is a little bit of a, something which we are reluctant to kind of accept. I think space-related matters with that Uranus can be good. If I'm not mistaken, in the last 1 year, we had 10 flights going on to the space. But Uranus square, I think there is going to be a tragic involved with that. So I don't know, either a plane is going to crash or something, or a meteoroid hits something, or a lightning bolt, but some type of tragic, I'm expecting that, because Uranus is something which is all about excitement, and then it turns to become kind of like a tragic. So think about the Tower card in Tarot. It's all about, yeah, we built up that beautiful tower. The princess is living on the top of it. Prince Charming is on the way to save her, but a lightning bolt strikes, and then basically it all collapses. So I kind of believe that some tragic event is also expected with that. Saturn Uranus is currently in their closing chapter, so this is the 3rd quarter phase. The conjunction happened between them two in 1989. And the 3rd quarter phases is always talking about something which needs to let go, which needs to go, something which doesn't serve you anymore. And of course, we've got the Saturn, which is the old methods, and Uranus is the new methods. So I think gardening related things are going to be gardening, food, homemade food, like market type of things. I'm selling tomato, or I'm buying a land and I'm going to be growing different type of vegetables and stuff like that. I really see a kind of like future in that, kind of like a new model of living. But definitely some of our old belief systems need to be kind of torn down. And also, I believe some type of major policies will be changing as well around financials, such things like who can actually apply for loan, mortgages, or how much money you have to give back, and so forth. So this waning square is a little bit about conflicts and blaming others. And typically the third quarter squares are all about protest, war, social unrest. Again, I'm not suggesting there is going to be a war. However, I do believe there is going to be one, and I'm going to come on to that. The very last time Saturn and Uranus met was 2008, 2010 by an opposition. And at that time, there was all these anti-government protests, and there was this Arab Spring going on. So the key word with this energy is, on a personal level, that do things in moderation. Don't rush to invest all your money into one. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, like English says. Now, the next huge cycle is the Saturn-Neptune cycle, which is related to pandemics. Now, I did a little bit of an intense research on pandemics because a few years ago, when we made the yearly forecast with Lada, I kind of mentioned the possibility of pandemics, but that was mainly down to Saturn and Pluto conjunction. But then I looked at the charts of the 12 major pandemics, and Neptune was always in connection to Saturn or Jupiter, either by square or conjunction typically. And 8 out of 10 times in the biggest pandemic kind of history, Saturn was in square or conjunction to Neptune. Oof. Now, why it's important for us is because Saturn's Antisha is in Scorpio and Taurus, the contra Antisha, and that's going to get triggered by North Node and South Node. Now, the Antisha at the moment is on 23 degrees. So sometimes around March, again, that point is going to get triggered by the nodes. So I'm expecting a little bit more blooming around COVID situations before actually it gets easier. Now, just going forward in the future, Saturn, Neptune will be making a conjunction in 2026, which is a very prominent one because it's going to be happening on 0 degree of Aries, which is the world axis. So I'm expecting a world pandemic to be happening around that time, or at least a recession, which is going to be pushing us backwards. I think just going very forward, after 2032, I would only kind of mention positive things, but this decade looks very challenging.
Did you say after 2032? Wow.
Yeah, I think plenty of people financially will kind of rise. But this decade is very, very challenging. And also there is this Saturn-Jupiter 10-year cycle where some of the astrologers tend to believe that out of the 20-year period, 10-year is ruled by Saturn and 10-year is ruled by Jupiter. So we are actually in a Saturnian decade at the moment. And the next one is going to be the Jupiterian, which is allowing us to grow. Now, speaking about Jupiter, Jupiter will be moving into the sign of Pisces. So very briefly, I think there is going to be a huge rise or raise in inflations. Back in March, I said I think the oil prices will hit record heights. Therefore, those who listened, probably they made great money. And I do believe this was just the beginning. Next year, we're going to see even more increase in oil, but its record, I mean, it's already very high. So whether to invest into it, it's completely up to you, but it will definitely go higher. Jupiter in Pisces tends to bring swings. So think about Jupiter as a hot and wet planet, and Pisces being moist and wet. So of course, what happens with Jupiter, that those flames, what it has got in its masculine sign, is kind of getting put out by the moist of Pisces. So definitely we're going to see some type of swings in prices. So the first 5 months of 2022, when it comes to things like cryptocurrency and stuff like that, those are going to be hitting record heights and record lows as well. I think Jupiter in Pisces will kind of legalize this large spending program as well, which some countries are initiating at the moment. And I think it's going to be happening in April once Jupiter and Neptune are kind of meeting. And that's going to be happening on the 12th of April, to be honest. With Jupiter and Pisces, I kind of see the possibility of plenty of rain and water-related matters. So I think there is going to be huge floods. Which from an investment point of view is important, especially if someone is living around seas, oceans, and an area where it's possible. But think about any type of water businesses you can actually invest into, or any type of liquids. I think that could be working, especially in the first 5 months of 2022. Oil spills are very possible as well, which of course can even push the prices higher. Or I can imagine that maybe there is going to be an accident happening and some type of poisonous gas will be released. And again, looking at that from an investment point of view, anything to do with saving the world type of investments could be smart. I think Jupiter in Pisces is very charitable. So raising money type of things, the profit-oriented charities or the non-profit-oriented charities somehow will be blooming. Probably with Jupiter in Pisces, we will see musicians, singers, actors kind of donating, or we're going to see kind of like a very important wedding taking place, or a very important burial service of a kind of a royalty or an important person. So which could push up, of course, a little bit of a tourism around that time. And I do believe that Jupiter in Pisces will, after April, will help us to lift the restrictions around travelers as well. So what I really see happening for the 12 signs, I saw plenty of possibilities of relocation. I think people are going to start kind of going back and forth. They want to be living somewhere else. They might want to be selling their properties and then buying somewhere in the countryside or in a different country even. I'm seeing plenty of moving around, surely.
I do remember when it was Jupiter square, was it opposition or Jupiter opposition Neptune, and Saturn was involved. That was the huge refugees coming into Europe. So you're right, Jupiter, Neptune, there's big movements of masses. But this time, because Saturn is not involved, it's not going to be such kind of a refugee feeling to it, more like a, I want to move there.
We're going to touch base on that because very interesting to look at US chart. So I'm going to definitely come back on that. So moving forward with Jupiter in Aries, which is going to be going into a fiery sign. Now, I'd like to point out that Jupiter is actually the planet of investments. Another one which is very important in investments is Vesta. That's the investment asteroid. Now, Jupiter in Aries, and wherever Jupiter goes, those type of markets need to be looked at because that could be good for investment opportunities. Now, my problem with Jupiter changing sign is that it has got an ending cycle in Pisces, and then it is starting completely fresh in Aries. So Pisces being all about peace, harmony, compassionate love, and we need all this type of empathy. In Aries, it's all about being selfish, being greedy, just wanting all the goodies for myself. So it could really kind of be the clashes of the good and the evil, in a sense. Or we said that Pisces is very much about rains and water. Well, Jupiter is fire and dryness, or droughts. So even in the first 5 months of 2022, I'm expecting floods and huge rains, which is going to be, of course, affecting the agriculture. From July, especially July onwards, I'm expecting some natural disasters in regards to fire and dryness, unfortunately. But Jupiter in Aries becomes very competitive, especially, I would say, the competitive nature of Jupiter in Aries will come out in the first phase, which is going to be from May till October 2022. I think the second phase, once Jupiter went retrograde and then become wiser, it's going to be more about pioneering and like sharing the wisdom type of energy. But at the beginning, I think it's a very competitive energy. So from an investment point of view, any competitive fields could be brilliant, such as sports, athletics, game industry. I think gonna be huge. I think there is gonna be some very popular games coming into, which is gonna be making fortune for plenty. Some type of new records, maybe new records in sports or new records in anything to do with money. So I think from an investment point of view, if you want to be looking at export, import, gaming, sport goods, could be good, because Jupiter in Aries has got that winning at any cost type of mentality, or it has got that warrior type of mentality. And it's all about individuality also. So I want to be out there. From a personal point of view, you know, this could be a brilliant time for plenty to be self-employed. Now, let's not forget that we've got the midterm election also going on when Jupiter goes into Aries. So I think that's going to be very competitive. People are going to be kind of showing there, or they're going to be displaying some type of power struggles there. And that could also bring in some military aggression too. Now, the last time Jupiter was in Aries was in 2010-11, and that's when we had this Arab Spring. 1999, Jupiter in Aries, there was a war between India and Pakistan. In 87, Iran versus Iraq. 63, we had the Vietnam War. So I think, unfortunately, there is going to be some type of clashes between countries, which I'm very much expecting. Of course, which is going to be affecting significantly the financial market, of course. I think there is going to be rules around moderation, such as how much rubbish you can have, or the reinforcement of selective rubbish system. So the Saving the World project seems to be coming through very strongly for me, especially because the nodes are going to be in Scorpio and Taurus. And Scorpio is the wasteland. And that's where we have got the South Node going to go in. So where to put the rubbish? It's very possible that, I don't know, they're going to take it to the space or something like that, just to kind of save our lives, in a sense. Jupiter in Aries could be talking about that competitive buying as well, where there is going to be very high demand for certain type of products. So again, the possibility of running out or the distribution in delivery probably remains a very significant problem. And what I'm expecting is that they're going to start raising the wages to kind of attract people, because there is going to be shortages when it comes to workforce. But at the same time, expect that you buy a 10 eggs now for, let's say, $2. I think next year it's going to be $4. So the rise of the cost of living will be, I think, ridiculous, basically. And I think to regulate those type of prices, 2026, it's going to come down. And that's where Saturn and Neptune will kind of pop into the picture. I think also what Neptune and Jupiter conjunction can bring is that all those predictions what was made by the financial experts, that who we see that, I don't know, this one and that one will reach $100,000. I think those were very optimistic, and those going to be highlighted by the Jupiter-Neptune type of energy. So I think what I'm expecting is that there is going to be an increase in the interest rate, because they're going to try to maintain the inflation. Neptune rules inflation. So of course, with Jupiter, there is the element of greed with that. We want to be making more money, so we're going to be pushing up the interest rate. I think banks, nodal shifts in Taurus and Scorpio, which talks about the money world. I think banks going to start some type of like cutting back on monthly purchases, or who can have mortgage, or you know, how much money you can take out, and these type of little silly things, because they're going to want to somehow protect their own money. And of course, if we have got supply issues, which we can expect with the Saturn Uranus square, then it will push up the prices of deliveries and stuff like that. So actually, delivery market or tapping into delivery market could be a smart option from a investment point of view. Now, what's also interesting about this Saturn-Uranus square is that if we look at Uranus as the modern ruler of Aquarius, then of course, Saturn is the government trying to attack the people, which is Uranus. But Uranus is in kind of in a fall position in modern astrology, but it's still the dispositor of Saturn. So kind of like the fall of people is kind of like the saving of people as well at the same time. So that's where Uranus has that Promethean type of nature, the awakening element, I think, comes into the picture. Electricity prices, I think, could be in danger, or anything to do with electric cars also. I think during Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, we will see extreme highs and lows in stock, cryptos, bitcoins, and probably the rent prices will even go further. Now, one very interesting note is that when it comes to the stock market, it's usually record high when North Node is in Aquarius, and record low when a North Node is in Leo. Now, the very last time the North Node was in Aquarius was actually proving the truth of it. And when we had the nodes in Aquarius and Leo, which was 2009, the record low was when the nodes were on 8 degrees of Aquarius. Now, what's interesting is that Saturn currently is sitting around 7, 8, 9 degrees at the moment. So also that Mars-Venus conjunction, which I was talking about earlier, of course, it's going to be affecting that 8 degrees. So between now and April, I'm actually expecting the stock market to kind of hitting a record low, or sorry, Aquarius record high. Okay. And then, but the record high usually indicates that it's going to kind of go down in a sense. Now, another interesting thing is that, well, let me just actually find that. If you guys give me a second so I can show you. Just a second, I prepared it, but I don't know where I put it, of course. Sorry about that, I'm almost sure there. Yes, so I'm gonna share the screen if I can. Can I can't, yeah, I can share the screen, yes. So here, I looked at all the primary recessions, and what I found very interesting is that if you look at the nodes were always Leo, Cancer to start with, and then it shifted into Virgo and Libra, and then from Libra to Scorpio, then from Scorpio to Sagittarius, then from Sagittarius to Capricorn. So we see this kind of one sign movement going on with the nodes. So the next one should be Aquarius, and at the same time Jupiter was always in Cancer and Capricorn, and then it started shifting, and then it became Aquarius and Leo. So, and then the very last time it again shifted, and then it started kind of like this Leo Virgo axis activation. So it's very interesting to see that, let's say 1938, we had the node in Scorpio, Jupiter was in Aquarius. The next time when we had a recession, it was in Sagittarius, Jupiter was in Leo, in the opposite sign. The next time when we had a recession, again, it was, let's say, Capricorn, Jupiter was in Leo and a little bit in Virgo, and then went retrograde. So what we see with this pattern is that in 2028, the nodes will be in Aquarius and Leo, of course, and Jupiter will be in Virgo. So this is kind of showing us a very strong trend of what to expect in a few years' time, which meaning, you know, the reason why I want to go ahead so much is because investing now may be a good idea, but from 2026, 2027 onwards, you know, those can have, you know, so what I'm trying to say is that invest in short terms at the moment, not for centuries, because I think there is a little bit of a danger around that. I think inflation will be peaking in 2023 significantly. I looked at America's chart, which is very interesting. Now, in America's chart, progress Chiron is actually opposed by progress Mars. This is an 80-year cycle. It started in 2008. And Chiron is kind of like the reset of, let's say, reputation. And Mars is something to do with these readiness to defend or readiness to kind of close off any type of dangerous situations. And of course, it somehow talks about military readiness. But Mars is retrograde in the sign of Libra, and Mars is in detriment. And of course, Mars in Libra is always about settling disputes and arguments. So Libra somehow represents your allies. So this could really show that either people are very concerned with America, or people are afraid that America won't be actually defending themselves again. And typically with a progressed retro Mars, the kind of like the fear, the anxiety, the frustration actually can increase significantly. And Chiron being involved really talks about that loss of respect and loss of kind of integrity. And Saturn also being very close by to this progressed retro Mars, which is even emphasizing more the fear, because Saturn is something to do with that gloominess, that fear. And of course, Mars is about confrontation. Saturn is about blockages. So there is plenty of confrontation, frustration seems to be happening in 2022 out of fear. And at the same time, we've got Pluto return happening in the sign of Capricorn. And that could really, whatever Pluto touches, it kind of intensifies things. So it could really intensify, situations in America. And from a people's perspective, progress moon is also in the sign of Capricorn, which indicates that people are afraid. Progressed moon went into Capricorn at the beginning of 2020, and middle of 2020, and will remain there till 2023. So this could show that people are going through depression, they are scared to death, Capricorn. So I'm seeing a little bit gloomy this Pluto return, to be honest. I see a couple of good things also. Progressed Venus, which is the ruler of Mars, will be entering the sign of Taurus at the end of 2022, and will be sextiling natal Venus. So there is some type of healing around relationships, or making allies with different countries, or wanting to, let's say, to borrow money from another country, and then we promise all these type of things. But I kind of see that more from 2023, 2024 onwards, rather than next year. At the moment, I see, not great things in US, to be frank. I think there might be new taxes introduced. People will feel very burdened. Pluto kind of rules anything to do with money. So it's deficit, it's debt, it downgrades things. It's the way you transfer money, or it's your earned and inherited wealth overall. And I think in Pluto in Capricorn return, there is going to be the control going on. Again, where is Saturn? It's in the sign of Aquarius. And the modern ruler of Aquarius in Taurus, which are having this ongoing square. So I think some major banking, money-related matters will be happening in US, which is of course going to be affecting the world, and it's going to be peaking sometime September, October. I think maybe the national debt of the country will significantly grow, or it will come to light how much money they are kind of losing. Or they want to spotlight the rich people and they want to tax them even more. Something around fairness, Mars in Libra, right? Something around fairness, or you have to put a little bit more share in it, or we're going to try to expose the corrupt people, or how people are, or companies, bigger companies, we're going to try to kind of catch so we can get more money on them. I think Pluto is involved in immigration situations also. So we're going to see that people are going to start relocating, and there is going to be maybe a new immigration act happening. One of the reasons why I see that is because Saturn and Capricorn rules anything to do with borders. Now, Saturn in Aquarius could talk about change of borders. But also, Pluto is opposing Mercury, the ruler of the 9th house in the US chart, which talks about foreigners. Plus, Pluto's Antisha is about 4 degrees of Sagittarius, which just got triggered recently by the Sun and South Node conjunction a couple of weeks ago. So worth having a look at what happened a couple of weeks ago around Immigration Act, or did anything start? Unfortunately, I don't know. But if it did, please let me know, because I think Pluto will actually bring in something to do with immigration situation. Who we allow to enter, who we not allowed to enter. And of course, Pluto will be always, anyway. So it's a lot. Or it could involve something to do with people smuggling, which they're going to try to kind of stop. Also, what's interesting in US chart is that Neptune is still opposing natal Neptune. So transit Neptune opposing natal Neptune in the 6th house, which started in 2020. and it's going to kind of finish in November 2022. So this shows that the sixth house is something to do with health. So the health crisis situation in US won't be finishing till about October 2022, but Neptune will be still in the shadow zone. So my prediction is something to do with 2023 mid-year there. And with the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction, I think we need to be careful, because it goes out of kind of like, you know, it doesn't know boundaries at all. So which could show that, you know, we go a little bit hectic about that. Another very good thing is, or very interesting thing, let me put it that way, that Mars will go retrograde between September and March 2023 in the US chart in the 7th house, which could really bring very similar situations like this Afghanistan story. Because Mars was in the sign of Gemini at that time. Yeah, so I think some similar situation could be coming, or some type of solution in the middle of the pre-voting. No, it doesn't come to my mind how we call it improperly in English. Anyway, we might want to start supporting them, or we're gonna kind of make some certain type of political decisions to gain more supporters, or overall, well, a retrograde is typically about we going backwards on our words. So this could really talk that, yeah, okay, we didn't have them, no, I'm going to go back and then have them type of situation. But definitely it could indicate some of the alliances will be revisited. Also, Chiron return is taking place in the US chart as well. So not only Pluto, Chiron return. The very last time when there was a Chiron return, US pulled out of the Vietnam War, which happened in 71, 72. And there was a resignation of Richard Nixon, also a year or 2 years later. So the question is there anyone going to resign again? You know, that brings up the question. But I think from an alliance point of view, definitely important that Jupiter will be going through the descendant, which could show very great healing in partnerships and alliances, kind of like making new agreements, making new partnerships. So I'm a little bit optimistic about eventually America is going to stand up. Basically, that's all I'm trying to say. Now, I looked at Biden's chart, which is also very interesting because his progressed moon is entering his 4th house in Aries. Which, of course, is about endings and beginnings. And 4th house is also about kind of like the end of a meta. So does it mean that he's gonna end his term? Does it mean that it's his end of life? Or does it mean that a new member of the a new member of a family? No, so a new member enters the family. Or does it mean that he's gonna relocate? But somehow his family situation is very active, or his home country. I know a couple of years ago, or sorry, last year, I kind of made a prediction that I think he's not going to finish his term. And I kind of believe he is not going to finish his term. I still believe that. Now, Jupiter transiting between 0 degree Aquarius to 24 degree Pisces, that always brought us record low of the stock market. Now, I think it's not affected at the moment, but the 24 degree is around till April 2022. So watch out, because of course it can indicate purchase, an indication for purchasing. Because at one point it can actually happen. uh, 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 8 times out of 10, that was the situation, that Jupiter going through that hot zone, the stock market actually was record low. Now, gold and silver, very shortly. Gold, I think, hold on. So gold, I'm not going to give so much technical things. I think gold pick up in 2025, 2026. So till then, I kind of see problems there. Silver, I think silver might be high between 2023 September till 2022, 2023 September till 2024 May. Till then, I don't see so much going on with silver either. Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is, we're going to talk about that a little bit longer. Because you must understand that, firstly, Bitcoin is something which is fresh. We don't have enough data, and each of these type of investment is at least relating to an 18 to 23, 33-year cycle, depending on what we are talking about. And Bitcoin was introduced sometimes in 2009. So it's very hard to determine something with it. Again, I'm not a financial expert. I'm just looking at correlations between astrological events. And what I see is that when Bitcoin, sorry, let me just bring up some bits for you here, and then maybe you can take some notes as well. So this is, by the way, from the financial class. So some of the conclusion which you might want to see here is, when Sun in fire, when the Sun is in fire signs or water signs, usually there are reversals or breakouts, quite major ones. Basically, what we did in the financial class, we went through 13 years of data, and then we try to spot patterns. And that's what financial astrology is about. Or when moon was in water signs, typically Bitcoin was quite low. If moon was in fire signs, actually it went up in prices. When Mercury was in masculine signs, typically it indicated reversals. When Mercury was in feminine signs, typically breakouts.
Can
when
I ask
Mars,
breakout is? It starts going higher than its price ever before?
That's right, yes, yeah, so that's record high. When Mars was in masculine signs, typically it's again a breakout. And when Mars is in feminine signs, typically it's a reversal. Now I can give you statistic figures, which I'm not gonna do, but typically, if I look at, let's say, a 10-month period, typically 7-8 times out of 10, this was the case. Now, the more of these conditions are at hand, the bigger the chance that there is going to be this breakout or reversal happening. So let's imagine, for instance, now what's happening in the sky, right? So Mars is going to be going into the sign of Sagittarius on the 13th. Yeah, that's right. So Mars in masculine signs typically is good for Bitcoin. Mercury enters a feminine sign because it's going to go into Capricorn exactly on the 13th of December. So that could be very interesting because that also shows some type of breakouts. Okay. Sun is in still fire signs, which typically shows just some major events happening. So the more you have got aligned, the more sure you can be about these breakouts and reversals. Just looking at the sun in Taurus, Gemini, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, that's when Bitcoin does the best. And when Sun is in Cancer, Leo, Virgo, or Libra, it does weak. typically it's about 65-70% accurately true. So that's some type of conditions you might want to be looking at. Now, a couple of bits and bobs which I noticed very shortly. Solar Pluto is conjuncting Bitcoin's Sun as we speak. Solar arc Sun will change sign in 2026 and gonna go into detriment. Clearly, I think Bitcoin is gonna go through major changes and probably a massive drop. I'm expecting a good 70% of value to go down. And I know people are gonna curse me for this. Because last time, and this is the reason why I don't like talking about Bitcoin, because last time I received plenty of emails, how do you dare saying this and that? And then actually it happened. But I think Bitcoin will have a massive crash. So I would be very careful with it. And transit Pluto is on solar arc Sun as well at the moment, which is talking about power struggles when it comes to the existence of Bitcoin. So, however, I do see a major peak with Bitcoin sometimes in 2024, 2025. And I also see something very significant, that the converse directed Sun will move onto the world axis 2022. Now, if someone doesn't know what converse directed Sun means, actually we don't progress the Sun forward, we progress the Sun backwards. Works brilliantly, try it out. So there is a major shift going on with Bitcoin. Maybe it's the way how it's going to be operated. Maybe it's the way how you can purchase it. Maybe it's the way how you can trade, regulations around it, but it's somehow the rebirth of the Bitcoin. Probably, I think there is going to be money pushed into it so that people continuously, you know, kind of invest into it. That's pretty much the Bitcoin part. And also Bitcoin has got this 4-year cycle, which we astrologers spotted. Bitcoin was record low in 2015 January, 2018 December, and 2010 October as well, which is somehow bringing us a 47 to 52 month cycle. So basically every 47, 52 months, there is a record low, and then it builds up. The next record low period, if this cycle doesn't break, let me point out that this is very fresh. We don't have enough data. We need at least 10 more years to kind of be able to look at every possible cycles with Bitcoin. But if this data doesn't break, then between 2022 June till 2023 February, there could be a reversal happening in Bitcoin significantly. Let me give you another tip there. Look at when there are out-of-bound planets. The more, the bigger the possibility of having a huge rise and then a huge crash immediately. I think it might be very low sometimes in 2023 March. I think it will get very kind of hectic. Yeah, so Lada, did I answer everything?
Oh wow, that was a lot more than I expected.
Because I only have got the 12 signs left, and this is what I kind of try to gather.
Something, which careers do you think will be doing well?
I think we should be looking at in the next couple of years something to do with the Aries fields. So Aries is the architect. It's something to do with the armed forces, athletics, the engineers, carpenting, the blacksmith, the bricklayers, explosive technicians.
Yeah, hands-on physical.
Hands-on physical work, exactly. It could talk about like a prison guard or a security system type of related things. I think that could be huge, especially with the Saturn Uranus square also. Anything to do with hardware manufacturing, like locksmith or mechanics, or yeah, basic the sport activities. So the personal trainers, these type of work, I think it's going to be huge.
And possibly, like you said, Aries is a lot about being entrepreneur, starting your
Yes, self-employment. So, you know, there is loads to talk about, especially with that nodal shifts, but I kind of feel like, yes, there is going to be sex scandal around it, but it can bloom the sex industry as well significantly, especially with Jupiter moving into Aries. So I can imagine all these OnlyFans type of things are going to be out there, and, you know, but I think from a financial perspective, probably we can expect that some of the banks are going to restrict in us, and people are going to try to, let's say, build a safe in their home to keep the money there, or whatever it is. But somehow the manual work seems to be very, very important. And as I said, gaming industry somehow seems to be blooming.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's have a look at the 12 signs. I tried to do that as just shortly as possible, because I think we've been talking for an hour. So Aries, now what I did with the 12 signs, I looked at everything from your sun's perspective mainly, because the sun is something to do with your vocational call. But you can use it for your rising sign as well. So the best is if you somehow mix your rising sign and your sun sign as well. This is how it's going to be working the most. For Aries, I think it could be a year when you excel quite significantly, especially after May, I would say, when Jupiter enters your sun sign or even your ascendant. It could talk about promotions. It could talk about you becoming self-employed. Or it could indicate that you're going to start attracting clients, or you're actually going to come up with new initiatives to boost your sales overall. You might be running some type of promotions, but this is a period of time when you can really excel, especially in your career matters at the second part of the year. I think it's also very possible that you're going to complete a kind of like a cycle in your work, and then you want to add something new to it overall, or your goals are going to be shifting or changing, or you want to kind of just have a better life standard. So you come up with all these initiatives to kind of, you know, it's very much about becoming more responsible somehow in your positions as well. That's especially the case if you were born around the 7th to the 15th of April. But this could bring in some type of power plays with others at work as well. Maybe somehow the work is going to be affecting your personal relationship or your personal life overall. Of course, I'm talking about here Pluto squaring your sun sign. So that could be a challenge there. How you overcome power struggles with authority figures, or you get tired of being told what to do, and then I just want to be, you know, being my own boss overall. This could be a period for you, 2022, especially after May, to actually do that. I also believe that those who were born between around 15th to 19th of April, it could be that your work relationships might become a little bit challenging, or you might feel kind of like burden in your relationships, especially because of work situations, or you might feel that somebody at work is kind of giving you grief overall, or you can't really come to an agreement with someone at work. Typically, it could be just a boss or a co-worker, but there is some type of unseen forces going on there, where I'm expecting for those natives to have some type of clashes at work, basically, which can result in losing their job, and then they are forced to actually start a new job. While the previous group of people born between the 7th to the 15th is more about wanting to be their own boss overall. Of course, you're gonna be affected by this Venus-Pluto conjunction, which is happening till March, but you're gonna feel it till April. So that could be the most challenging time for people born between around the 15th to the 19th, but it can become very productive by the end of the year. And I think their inspiration will be quite kind of triggered overall. I think your financials can increase if you want pay rise. This is the time when actually you need to be looking at that, or you need to kind of relate to your self-worth overall. Now, Taurus, I kind of see career change possibilities there, or at least changes in your role or position within the company. I think it's about coming up with original ideas, being inspired by someone or being inspired by yourself overall, but it's being very original overall. I think it's about thriving or striving for freedom. It's about letting your ideas out in the open and, you know, kind of following your purpose, kind of having that sudden realization, yes, I am able to, you know, create financial security for myself. I want to be respected. I want to be valued. I don't let anyone to stand between my dreams and others. So Taurus can experience new path in their career, even new relationships as well, especially if you have got a Taurus rising sign. I think especially if you were born between 1st of May till 9th of May, that's actually the job change is more likely for actually those people. Maybe it's just about, I don't want to be paying attention to obligations anymore. Or, you know, I have been loyal for so long and I don't want to be loyal to it anymore. So somehow breaking away from old things, breaking away from old businesses, old work, or I don't want to continue this work relationship with anyone. That could be possible. I think also it's very possible if you are self-employed that, you know what, I want to be selling my business. I just want to be actually investing into something else. Or you just think about, yeah, I want to get out on the top because my reputation is a little bit more important for me. It might be about actually the need to give up on your dreams or prolong a little bit of achieving them, which can make you actually a little bit depressed, or you feel slowed down by different type of rules. Let's say I want to open a car shop and I need that paper, I need this paper. So we can really feel kind of blocked in those departments. And probably a huge question for Taurus is that who the heck I am. So can I actually be someone else, or can I be myself the way I want to be? And you are kind of prompted that you can become whoever you want to become. You just need to be kind of let go of your limited belief system overall. These people will be questioning themselves, who I am, who I want to be, especially if you were born between 10th and 16th of May. I think you can have great impact on people you work with. If you are a boss, I think you should be expecting losing people. So have a backup plan about your hiring. Don't hire in the very last minute. Start doing that, especially if you were born between 16th to 19th of May. I think Taurian people, if you are in like graphic design or something related to style or yeah, some type of design related things, you can be actually quite successful in the upcoming year. Okay, looking at Gemini. Now, Gemini, I think it can be a very active year for you. I would say especially the last 6 months of 2022, because it's going to be about making deals with others, starting new projects. Probably you can be very excited about starting new, it could bring you recognition overall too. So that's actually quite exciting. Maybe you want to be in social media. This could be your year. You're going to definitely think about your future possibilities and opportunities quite a lot. Especially, I would say those will be affected the most who were born between sorry, you can have that boosted kind of business project once Jupiter enters the sign of Aries. So sometimes between May and October. And also don't forget that Mars will be going retrograde in your sign as well. Mars will enter Gemini on 20th of August and will remain there actually till March. So this could really bring you some type of success. You can actually feel confident about making something great. Signing up for new projects overall, or you're going to be taking a new course and you want to start fresh by learning, studying something. Especially true for those who were born between 30th of May till about 15th, 16th of June overall. It could be some of the contracts or agreements actually settled with other people. This could be a very favorable year just to kind of collaborate or bring business agreements overall with others. Promotion, I think it's very possible for you too, or at least coming up with some type of projects you finish and then you get kind of like a bigger payout overall. It could be the year when you are actually building on your skills a lot more. You definitely being very impacted when it comes to studying, writing, speaking, or gaining more skills if you were born sometimes around 10th to the 17th of June. Yeah, so Gemini, I think overall, it could be quite a nice year for you. Now, moving on to Cancer. I would say that Cancer, you might be struggling at work and you might be having some emotional kind of issues when it comes to work in 2021. And 2022 is definitely a year when you're going to have to start thinking about, okay, how on earth am I going to make actually more money? Probably it's the year when you start questioning, what shall I do? Sales, investments, or, you know, shall I sell my house, or shall I have a family? Money seems to be a huge job. Probably you've been wanting to change job for a while, especially because you don't feel appreciated, and but kind of because of safety and security reasons, probably you are actually hesitating. So maybe one of the topics which comes up for Cancer is that you want to sell or rent or to lease out your properties, or you want to be investing into property, hoping that I'm going to be able to rent it out and make money that way. But also some of you might start thinking about, yeah, the grass is greener somewhere else, so let me actually relocate. Or let me actually connect with some type of businesses in foreign countries. So export and import, it might be something you start thinking about. Especially if you were born more towards the end of the Cancerian cycle. So then you're going to have to think about that Pluto is somehow opposing you, especially if your sun is somewhere around 25 to 28 degrees. then all these type of investments can be a little bit challenging. Maybe you are worried about how on earth am I going to pay the rent? How on earth am I going to pay the mortgage? So financials seems to be a significant issue here. I think you are invited to actually tap into your fears, especially when Mars will enter the 12th sign from your sun sign to deal with your troublemakers, those inner troublemakers, in a sense that why am I scared to actually start something new? Do I want to become a professional astrologer? Just my fears are actually holding me back. So this year, you're going to have to deal with your inner monsters significantly if you want to make some money. And I don't necessarily believe that relocating, for instance, would be a solution in a sense, because you're going to have to work on your self-worth, basically. Okay, so of course, Pluto is your biggest enemy, as I said, especially if your sun is around 25 to 29 degrees, sometimes the last degrees, then it might bring in some type of power plays at work. Or most of you probably experience this, but those who have got the sun in the last 5 degrees, those can be still feel rejected at work, or they want to change work, just scared to do that. So especially those who were born between 18th to 22nd of July, those can be actually very impacted. When it comes to Leo, I think you can have a very busy year, actually. I think you can, overall, you can really reach a peak of success. It's kind of like coming out of a valley type of situation, because the last couple of years may have not been the greatest years of all, but 2022 can be quite nice. However, you're going to have to do things in moderation. So it's not about me going on a central stage every single day and then not resting. So we need to find pleasure and joy in things which we do, because Saturn might be opposing your sun, and especially those who have got their sun sign between 10 to 24 degree of Leo, they will be feeling the Saturn opposition to them. And of course, Saturn is something to do with the relationships I'm having with other people, because it's in 7th sign from your sun sign. So this could talk about things like, I'm going to have an argument with people at work. I'm going to have issues with business partnership. I need to find another business partner. You might feel that I'm working extremely hard and then the other person is not pulling their weight. Or you might end up wanting to please everyone, or you might feel like this superhero overall, and it can actually affect your health situation as well. So having fun, not just working 24/7, is kind of important. And because you have got a Leo sun, delegation is one of your best assets. You can't do everything on your own. You need a personal assistant overall, who is going to be acting on your behalf. So this could be a year when actually you realize overall these. So stress level, health could be something which hinders you from becoming successful, because this might be the year when actually you overwork. Go and exercise. Make sure that you have fun and you rest as well. Especially true for those who were born between 9th till 19th of August. Those can have a very busy year, but it's true for every single Leo overall. Now, let's move on to Virgo. So with Virgo, I think one of the biggest one for you is the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction, which is actually opposing your sun sign, starting in May, ending sometimes in November, and then especially those who were born with 20 to 29 degree of Virgo, they will feel that also in 2023 as well. And this could be a year when you have got full of illusions around what I want to be doing. You might get a proposal by your boss, oh, you get pay rise, just do this project for me and stuff like that. And then eventually it's going to end up as disappointment. So there is that type of flattering type of energy to it. It looks beautiful outside, but when I start looking inside, then you see that not everything is that glittery as it seems. You might be expecting a huge financial reward from something, and then eventually you don't get it, and you work very hard for it. Neptune is the planet of manifestation. So it's all about, if I want to be earning money, I'm going to be imagining that, how I could do that, and I'm going to be actually making the necessary steps. But visionary Neptune kind of indicates that it needs to be born in my head first. And then once I've got the dream, then I can start following that. And this is where your Virgo sun actually can help a lot, because it's systematic. It is kind of grounded. So keep your coolness in a sense when it comes to any type of proposal or job interviews or stuff like that you might be getting ready for, and make sure you read up on that company. Even if you get a great idea of, or a great deal, you're going to earn, I don't know, $120,000 a month. Just be very, very careful with that. I think also Mars retrograde will be affecting you as well. Of course, it's going to be squaring your sun sign, which is kind of indicating to you that, again, whatever you do, you're going to have to collect the data. You're going to have to look at the situation first before you actually join forces with something, because that could be bringing you some type of problems, especially in 2023 overall. Again, this could talk about you wanting to be adventurous when it comes to technology, or you might want to make a application, for instance, or you want to build a software for a accounting program, or you want to start smartphones or website related things you want to be building. Somehow your craftiness is actually reminded here. Tapping into things, how many things actually you can do on your own as well, which you might be spending money on, and you've got the ability. Or it might be just about revising those things which I have done already, and then is it in a good condition? Does that website look good? Am I selling the best possible phones? And so forth. And then I think if you look at these type of things, your plans overall, then it could bring you a better financial situation overall, or you can be well received by others, especially if you have got this type of popularity contest kind of things going on. Let's say I want to be appearing on YouTube, or I want to be a part of a TV show, or I want to give a speech on radios. So the media presence could be actually strong here. And this could be the year when you start attracting followers. So if you have got something to do with social media, I kind of recommend making the necessary steps, because this could be a good year for that. Okay, also, what I'm also liking here is that this could be a life-changing year for you, because Uranus and Pluto will be having a grand trine with your sun. So if you are ready to let go of the unnecessary things, if you learn to focus and you don't allow Neptune to kind of get you into these shady situations, this could be a fantastic year for you financially. Just make sure you analyze, you plan, and you kind of try to avoid any type of conflicts or arguments with others, or even not necessarily being part of political situations or political battles overall, because that could be a downfall for you when it comes to financial possibilities. Now, if you are Libra, you might have been working on a project for a very long time, maybe a good 3 years now. But this is the year when you actually have to present maybe something you give birth to, some type of creative project. Maybe you've been working on a business plan, a business idea for a very long time. You have worked hard for it. It's the time to kind of finish that product or to launch the product, or to actually work on one of your or some of your marketing tools. Maybe this is the time when these products need to be looked at by an expert, kind of like asking for a second opinion, and there is nothing wrong about it. I kind of have got a feeling that you can get a positive feedback from people overall, which can lead to some type of recognition. And you can have that kind of feeling of, yeah, I've accomplished something, I put so much energy into it. So this could talk about, yeah, I become a little bit way too self-reliant or boosted overall. Just don't go overboard, because Jupiter will be opposing your Sun, which is definitely on one hand popularity, but that popularity can get into our head also. This is very true for those who were born sometimes October 10th till about 18th, 19th. This could be, by the way, the year when actually you have a child, and that may be stopping you from giving birth to a creative project. Or maybe you want to be actually having a project done with a child overall. I think especially your busiest period of time is going to be sometimes from August till March 2023. I also believe that it could be actually an indication of collaborating with someone, because Mars will be trining your Sun 3 times, and that rules the 7th from your Sun sign. So that could talk about collaborations with others, that could talk about just being kind of popular overall, or just getting to know someone who is going to motivate you and gives you plenty of ideas about how to actually go about certain issues. That Mars could be actually very good to kind of settle some disputes and arguments with others also. So that could be great again. Okay, from a financial point of view, I think something, maybe a child or maybe just a creative project, which is somehow sucking the money out of your pocket. So this year you do need to be aware of how much money I'm giving away, how much money actually I lend to others, or because this could lead to arguments, or this could lead to power struggles. Maybe the fact that I'm earning more money than my partner, or my partner earns more money, and this could become somehow kind of disturbing within the relationships. Or you might feel that my partner is not necessarily supporting my long-term goals anymore, and that makes you frustrated. But personal life can get in the way of achieving a success this year. So if you experience that, come up with a plan how I am going to be actually fixing that. Yeah, and watch out for investments, especially because the South Node will be in the 2nd from your Sun sign, which rules investments. I know you might be wondering, 2nd house investment. Yes, it belongs to investments. So that could be maybe when I'm going to be actually holding back on, yeah, I'm doing crypto, or as a newbie. If you have been doing it for a while, that's okay. But then probably South Node is asking you to have a closer look at your investments, maybe every single day. Do I need to shift it around? Do I need to go into different type of fields? And so forth. So just something to be mindful about. Now, the next one is Scorpio. So now, Scorpio, on one hand, you're going to experience this beautiful Jupiter and Pluto sextile, which is actually a millionaire's combo. So if you are very organized, Pluto in Capricorn, if you are structured, if you are ambitious, this could be the year when you are making quite loads of money. So that's exciting. But at the same time, probably some of your old belief systems need to kind of let go, or maybe you need to tap into some of your old talents, which you kind of have forgotten about, and you somehow need to implement that into your current projects overall. If you feel that you are not in control, then who did I give my control away to? If you were in control, then you would be kind of successful. So this could really talk about me wanting to become self-employed and not necessarily working for others. And this feeling can be coming quite unexpectedly as well. Or you might experience these crisis situations also at work where, no, I can't take it anymore. And then, you know, I just want to get rid of my boss. Maybe actually the shift for you in 2022 is that your boss is going to be leaving. You receive a new boss overall, and you're going to have a lot better relationship with that person. And you're going to start building that relationship, and you're going to feel a lot more motivated to succeed. Maybe you want to start thinking about, from a psychological perspective, what if I quit? You know, how does that actually affect my confidence? Because you don't seem to be a quitter overall. So you might focus on changing loads of circumstances around you. Just pay attention, because you can become very controlling overall. And you might want to be controlling your emotions, and you start putting on weight, or I'm going to pull up that ice wall in front of me, instead of, you know, finding ways of let the anger out of the system. And that anger is going to get reminded plenty of times actually for you. Yes, possible to lose your job. Yeah, I have to mention that. It's possible that your work relationships are going to be quite hectic overall, especially the second part of 2022. Saturn has been squaring your sun sign, or will be squaring your sun sign. So it might be I want to be pulling away from responsibilities, or I don't want to be at work overall. Or you might be given additional responsibilities and then you are tired of them, you feel burdened. You might actually physically show some signs of kind of being burnt out because of your job duties. So issues at work is very possible. But overall, I think if you decide to change job or create something on your own, this could be a very great year overall. I think you can have plenty of success. It's just letting go of something at work which is actually not allowing you to become who you want to become overall. This has been going on for you for a while actually. You might want to be looking back, okay, what happened in my career approximately 2014? Or you might want to be looking back what happened in my career sometimes in 2003, because you can repeat those, but you get the chance to actually be smarter about it and then making the right or the better decisions. Because what's the right decision, right? So, you know, overall, yeah. If you are working with clients and you want to be attracting clients overall because you've got your own business, well, that's where I see the possibility of growth. Especially, I would say your best month are something to do with between April and May. That could be very good for from sales perspective. And also you can have a very great month sometimes in July and August, and also at the end of November and December looks pretty good as well. Now, Sagittarius, it's probably about progression at work. It might be about a completion of major projects. It might be about realizing that you've got management or managerial skills, or it might be about gaining more expertise in certain type of fields, which is going to be in favor for your work. So this is the year when it's pretty much about, you know what, I'm going to be hiding a little bit away. I'm going to be working on certain type of projects so that I can come in 2023 with a big boom and I can launch something. So let's say I want to be a writer. I'm going to be in my room writing loads of books. And then 2023 is something when I'm actually going to be publishing that book. So it's a little bit of a retreat. It's a little bit of a kind of gathering your ideas and thoughts so that you can have that big breakthrough, which I believe you deserve quite significantly, by the way. But this year you're kind of asked not to cut any corners and be very thorough, because it's very possible that you're going to be making some type of mistake. Or it also might be about, you know what, I want to be connecting with others, but you might feel that they don't take you too serious, or they don't trust your abilities, or they don't trust that you are a great business partner. That could actually be a potential kind of backfall of this 2022. I think your financials, you might see these huge peaks and lows as well at the same time. So if you have got your own business, probably you're going to be seeing periods when you're going to have, let's say, plenty of orders. Typically, I'm seeing that in April, May, and also I can imagine sometimes in September and October, those being very strong months for you. But then you're going to see this type of valley type of situations as well, where, okay, where are the clients? I was so popular before, what's happening right now? So also just watch out for things like forgetting paying your bills and finance, like the taxation type of things, because you can get into financial situations where, yeah, you forget to do certain things, and then the authority figures are actually knocking on your door because we want that money. Also, I would be very careful this year of how much money I'm lending to others, because you can easily get kind of robbed, or people forget to give the money back to you, and so forth. So this year, watch out for any type of business partnership overall, who I'm going to be, you know, connecting to, who I'm going to be actually signing contracts, who I'm receiving some proposals from. If you are asked to kind of attend some type of a social event, I think that could actually bring you some money. So that might be something you might want to consider. And this year can be very favorable for traveling overseas, or dealing with foreigners overall, or having these type of business contracts, especially from people with other nations, especially the last 5-6 months of 2022. Okay, so I think overall you are also going to be thinking about, you know, what on earth am I doing on this earth? Why I was born? If you kind of can't find the answer, unfortunately, this could lead to some type of depressions also. So having the nodes in your 12th and 6th house from your sun sign kind of indicates that dealing with some of your inner demons is actually very, very important. Maybe you want to be using especially the first 5 months of the year to kind of figure out who you are and who you want to become. And then you can make some type of growth from there. Capricorn, I think this is the year when you should have a vision about what you want to be doing in the future. where I want to be, how I'm going to get there, how I'm going to be achieving that. So somehow your long-term goals are very active here. Again, possibility of a job change is very much on the horizon, especially if your sun is from 24 to 29 degree of Capricorn. It's about making the plans, the necessary plans, how I'm going to actually accomplish those type of visions and futuristic goals. Or it can actually indicate that I'm going to be attracting people into my life who are going to be helpful to actually achieve these goals. It could be ideas around something which is revolutionary. Probably you can come up with ideas which actually can make you more money. So how am I going to make that money? That could be a very significant topic here. Richness in idea, or probably when it comes to sales and pays, actually there could be some great increase going on there. Again, business travels are very possible. Typically, let's say I'm going from one town to another and I'm going to be selling, I don't know, my tomatoes in the next village as well. So not just in my local area. This could talk about, especially those who were born from 1st of January till 9th of January. Those could really benefit the most with your inventive, creative ideas, technological type of approach to things. It might be about, you know what, I'm selling tomatoes for 5 years in the market, and this time around I'm going to be making a newsletter about it, or I'm going to be making a website for it. Or, you know what, I'm going to start thinking about delivering, let's say, food, and I'm going to buy a truck, or I'm going to go to the next town and I'm going to be selling the soup from a truck. So that's also a very possible thing. Somehow having some marketing efforts for Capricorn this year is very important, because that could lead to great financial success overall. But also you need to figure out how I can be seductive to actually bring more clients into, or I'm going to learn how to pay attention to other people's needs overall. So I'm going to listen. I'm going to not just follow my own nose, but I'm going to see what's going on actually next to me also. So Capricorns, I think this could be actually a great year overall. Of course, if you are limiting yourself, you don't want to be coming out of your comfort zone. You don't want to be working with your skills, or you're not going to be looking at the demand of your clients or your earning potentials, then this could be quite a challenge. So I kind of urge you to look outside the box as well. Aquarius, I think it's about learning new skills, taking on new roles overall, kind of like walking away from the past, seeing what's needed and what's not needed anymore, maybe introducing new technological things as well, which is going to be helping me to further grow. Maybe it's just picking up some new skills overall, maybe the latest advances in my field. Let's imagine you've been an astrologer for 20 years and then you are odd about certain new ways of techniques. Oh, I don't want to use those because they are not working, they are just tested, you know. So it's about coming away from all those type of things, and then, you know, I'm going to be investing time, money, and effort. Let's see what's the deal about them. So definitely a change of job or change of job roles can be something which comes up for you. Don't be rebellious about any type of changes. Look at them as an opportunity. Also at work, you can have some type of unbearable conditions which you are very frustrated about. So I can become depressed at work, and it can cost your position overall, because you might open your mouth and you feel that I shouldn't be opening my mouth, or shall I open my mouth? What shall I do? Typically, those who are born in the first week of February, they might be a little bit more on the depressed side. I'd like to point out that Saturn, especially as I said, if you were born between 1st of February to 7th of February, 7 will be in conjunction to your Sun in your solar return chart. So that could really talk about, I feel restricted, I don't know who I am, where I'm heading, I want to be careful about making choices when it comes to work. I'm not too sure if the next work is reliable. I'm not too sure if this work is reliable. So there is loads of anxiety, fear about how you approach your long-term goals and and careers overall. It could be very easy to miss deadlines this year. It could be very easy to actually feel kind of pressurized and burdened by certain type of responsibilities. Maybe the fact that, you know what, I don't want to work from 9 to 5. Sometimes I just want to work 9 to 1. Next day I want to work from 1 to 4, or these type of things. Whatever you start building this year is how the next 4 years will kind of play out in your life. So I kind of recommend using this period of time to build something sustainable, build on your future, because you're going to see progress in a few years' time. If you are more about the whiny part and then, oh, nothing works out for me, I'm depressed and I'm licking my own wounds, you might be experiencing that in the next 4 years. So this is a very important period for you, especially if you were born sometimes around 6th of February till about 14th of February. Okay, so you're gonna have to have strict balances. You can get sick, or you might wanna control your socialization, or you wanna lose weight, or you just wanna rest. You don't wanna focus a lot from work. So it's kind of like, wanna be productive, I don't wanna be productive. So yeah, so it could be sometimes a little bit challenging, but it also could be a very rewarding year, especially if you put enough energy into something. And I'm kind of seeing a boost for Aquarius Sun from 2024 onwards. And last but not least, sorry Pisces, but you are the last one today. So if you have got a Pisces Sun, I think it's working smart and not hard. It's about sometimes taking it a little bit easy. So I allow the muses to actually bring me more success. It's a little bit about enjoying some of my freedom and not having so much complication going on in my life. Very good year to do marketing, very good year for sales for you, especially if you have got some creative, artistic type of profession going on, or any type of job where you use your kind of like your 5 senses. It's about, you know what, I'm going to come up with a marketing plan. I'm going to come up with a campaign, or I'm going to come up with some new design overall, something which I have envisioned for a very long time. You might want to use April 29th, 30th, which looks a very auspicious time for starting something new. You're going to have Venus transferring the light between Neptune and Jupiter. We're going to have the 2 benefic planets in exaltation rulership with the Corula. You're going to have, I think, Moon trining around that time. So that could be a very exciting period to start actually something new. And this is true actually for all the signs, that those 3 days are very auspicious to start something great. I think this year for Pisces, actually brilliant. Uranus will be in sextile to you. So this could bring you great financial success through social media, for instance. Financially boost. I'm only seeing positive things actually for Pisces. Just one thing which you need to be very careful about is not to become too dreamy, not to become too scattered. It's very much about, yes, I learned something new, and then I'm going to be sharing that with others, and I'm going to be developing on my business or skills no matter what. It might be about turning one of your creative hobbies into a career opportunity. Maybe is it computer, maybe is it, I don't know, smartphones, or maybe is it, I'm going to build a new software. Whatever you do, maybe you want to choose some type of healing and therapeutic creative approaches to your project. Because I think one of the most successful sign in 2022 is actually Pisces rising or Pisces sun overall. Yes, you might want to be careful with any type of conflicts with others, or even inner conflicts overall. It's very possible that you want to be relocating and I need to get to know new people overall, or you were promised something and then it's not delivered. Look at those as signs of, okay, you know what, it didn't work out. I need to actually just create something else instead. So pretty much we finished with the presentation.
Thank you so much, Victor. You made the proper lecture 2 hours.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I wanted 1 hour, 50 minutes, but once I start talking, I talk a lot.
Everyone is very grateful. I enjoyed it. I listened to both of my signs, Ascendant and Sun, and I'm excited about what you have to say.
Great.
And if anyone would like to order a reading with Victor, I'll put the link below in the description, or check out his course on financial astrology and career. 100 hours, you said? Wow.
It's about 100 hours, yes.
And it's 40% discounted. Everyone says Victor is the best astrology teacher they had. And also his course, that is upcoming course on Venus retrograde, which will focus on this Venus retrograde, plus knowing everything about Venus retrograde astrologically.
It's not what it seems like, you know, like I think the Mercury retrograde webinar was very eye-opening for plenty, because Mercury, for instance, has got this 11-month cycle. It repeats certain degrees. Yeah, so it's not about not signing contract. And same with Venus. It's not going to be about, oh, we shouldn't get married and stuff like that. I think it's a little bit outdated, those concepts.
Oh, I checked my parents. They've been married 40 years and they got married on Mercury and Venus retrograde. And they still
and they are still together. Yeah. So Venus retrograde is more than what it seems, basically.
Thank you so much, Victor.
Thank you, everyone.
2022. Thank you, everyone in the chat. 300 people watching us now. So thank you. Have a great day. And we continue with the marathon in 2 minutes.
Good luck, everyone. Have a